houses.
Yeah, it would be nice if more could.
You know
If we
what?
could facilitate
If
that.
it's $239 a month on social assistance, they're not going to be buying their own damn houses.
No.
Give them programs, give them help, give them education, get them into a position where they can participate. But you can't bring about these fundamental changes to this system without having people who are being able to meaningfully participate.
Instead of having private property interests. Because when we are a collective entity, I'm living on Flanagan Reserve. We live in an area that our family has been for a long time. And there's two people that have their names in the band office that say they have some kind of property interest. But none of us have a similar piece of paper. And I'm fine with that. And I'd be very happy to die and be put someplace where I have my connection to land. That is so important to me that I don't need human rights. The UN Declaration on Indigenous Peoples deals with individual rights. It fails to address our collective rights. And as a grassroots Indian, I would like to have the opportunity to explain that. But because of the oppression, the mental violence, I cannot even get to first base on that.
Child pornography where they threw him off.
Well, my most recent book, called Beyond the Indian Act, was written in collaboration with Chief Manny Jules, who was former chief of the Kamloops band, as they still call themselves, and he's now the chief of the First Nations Tax Commission. And the thinking in the book is largely his. I helped put it in academic form, but the fundamental ideas about property ownership there come from Manny Jules, who's a shoe swap, and so that's where I got my thinking was from the First Nation source, yes. And I added academic declaration, footnotes, and rationalizations, and so on. But the basic thinking comes from Manny Jules, who's been waging a campaign for decades to try and make it possible for those First Nations who want to, and only for those who want to assume the ownership of their reserve and to create private property if they wish. This is an authentic First Nations idea. It may not be your First Nations idea, and I don't want to impose it on any First Nation. The legislation would only make it possible for those First Nations who want to do this to do it. And right now it would probably be a small number. There's about 10 or 12 that have signed up and said they would like to see this legislation passed. So right now it's very much a minority preference. But it is a First Nations idea, which I have helped to expound.
Can I ask you real quick on that? You say First Nations, you wrote the book First Nations Second Thoughts.
Yeah.
I haven't read the book because I haven't had the cognac.
Well, I hope you read it. Still in print. Second edition, you can still buy it. Or get it out for free at the library. And maybe you'll disagree wildly with it, but that's a good thing. It'll test your convictions.
Okay, well, when you wrote it, what was your intention?
My intention with First Nation Second Thoughts, it was kind of a reaction against the report of the Royal Commission on Aboriginal Peoples. I disagreed with a lot of what was in that report, and nobody was taking issue with it at the time, at least in the academic world. And so I wanted to state my disagreements with it. Since that time, some of my views have changed, particularly through my association with Manny Jules. I think I've arrived at a better understanding of some things, and life goes on. you don't ever change your mind, you're not making much progress. So that book represented my thoughts, as of the year 2000. But it was a reaction against the report of the Royal Commission.